Oh, now you fight. Now you fight for sure. Yep. Oh, they're all dead. Oh my goodness, it's beautiful. Yeah, he's dead. She's dead too. Easy clap. Okay. Now go bot.
Hey everyone. So in our guides, we often send challengers to Smurf to show you how to climb out of low elo by exploiting wildly common mistakes to carry your clueless teammates. While these guides are super helpful and something we'll always create on our site, we're always developing the next best thing to take your game to the next level and fast. So we wondered what would happen if we put one of our challenger voices in the ear of a skillcapped subscriber while they play. This time we have mostly mcbaze and a bit of Hector guide a subscriber as Diana in low platinum elo. With this series, you'll learn the ins and outs of how to actually apply challenger knowledge. We'll also be asking you a bunch of questions along the way to test your skill. Do you think like our subscriber or a challenger player? Let's find out. As the game starts, mcbaze does a quick analysis based on the matchups to come up with a main goal Diana should be working toward.
The biggest threat for you is Elise, but if you make it into the mid game, like if you make it to level 11 without falling behind, it's like nearly impossible to lose this game. It's a really good game for Diana. You win side lane versus both champs. Elise can never one-shot you. They have a mobile carry or a mobile bot lane. Really easy game.
Okay, so Diana's goal is to hit level 11 without falling behind. To do this, she could play standard and let the wave push toward her and look for all-ins. Or she could use her superior wave clear to constantly push and get priority. mcbaze directs our subscriber, Basic Nerd, to go for the pushing strategy to give Diana more minions to work with versus Ahri's charm and create an easy path to the level 11 win condition. The only thing he has to worry about is efficiently pushing and avoiding ganks. Let's see what happens.
Auto. Constantly auto. There you go, yeah, perfect.
So there's two main things that mcbaze really wanted to see here when pushing correctly. Actively autoing the wave, which we saw, is something players often literally neglect while pushing. And then looking for those double value AoE spells on the wave and their opponent at the same time. With good execution, he starts pushing like a challenger in no time, constantly hitting Ahri and the wave. Now with the third wave coming in, there's a good chance Elise will be looking for a gank as a strong level 3 ganker. With that in our minds, where should Basic Nerd place his first ward? Let's play out what happens, then give you the answer.
Wow. Good. Yeah, good. Flash. Oh.
Alright, with Basic Nerd dead, think back to where you would have placed a ward. Do you think it would have saved you? Let us know in the comments below. The ward mcbaze wanted Diana to place was right here, which may sound kind of strange, given the gank arrived before the wave died and from bot side. The problem is, not even our 200 IQ challengers can predict an Elise doing blue, wool, scrump, then loop around the river for a gank. This is just an unpredictable low elo gank. However, if Diana left lane at this moment without any immediate last hits to get, she could have placed the ward to counter early aggression right here. Elise would have no topside angles for a gank, which is where she would be ganking from, and it'd also give our subscriber the freedom to play in this area the entire time. This means that even with the unpredictable bot side gank, Diana wouldn't be in the center of the lane and instead playing on the left side, allowing her to potentially just walk into the river and escape instead of having to walk through Elise back to her tower. Later on, Basic Nerd found himself victim to another gank. We're not going to analyze this one, but we do want you to pay attention to cooldowns used during the fight so that you can answer our next question. Let's take a look. So 30 seconds after dying, Basic Nerd is back in lane. Ahri returns and pushes the wave after respawning. Okay, so at this moment, what do you think should be the only thing on Diana's mind? Let's see what happens.
Bait out her stuff by like running at her for a sec and then like moving to the side. Okay, yeah, go. Oh. Good. She's dead. Yeah. Good.
This was such an obvious and clear kill window because mcbaze tracked Ahri's ultimate in the previous fight.
Alright, so Ahri doesn't have ult. If you get some poke down on her, you can kill her.
With this being a 2-minute cooldown, give or take when you factor in Ultimate Hunter, Diana can be sure she has the kill window where Ahri can't respond, especially after getting Charm out of the way. With laning phase gone, let's jump into the first macro choice.
Yeah, at this point you just clear the wave. Now the tower's gone, you just clear the wave and move around the map.
Using mid priority to find random roams is the basics of the basics, and the first call made to get our subscriber ahead.
Oh, the arrow. Wow, Legolas.
After the Soraka kill, what do you think you'd do in this position? This is one of the biggest issues we notice from some of these coaching sessions. Lack of map awareness constantly causes players to miss game-changing opportunities. He immediately starts autopilot walking mid until mcbaze says,
Alright, so you should be collecting the wave behind the tower and then going to dive Sivir. But
Basic Nerd's hesitation cost Set his life, and he didn't even get an assist on the Sivir kill. Now, this isn't Basic Nerd's fault, but Challenger players don't carry low elo games by expecting their teammates to play properly. They make it less likely that their teammates are ever in a position to feed in the first place. Right after the Soraka kill, mcbaze wanted Diana to take the wave in between the two towers, both cutting off Sivir's escape and allowing Ashe to crash the wave in for an easier dive. This is a good play. Not only that, but there's no alternative play to go for at the moment. Lee Sin went to take Diana's farm in mid, so he literally had no other option at the time anyway. By doing so properly, Basic Nerd would be there at the start of the play, ensuring that Set doesn't die randomly, getting a full wave to himself, and making sure that he either gets a kill or an assist for Sivir's death. That's a huge difference to what actually happened. Moving on, we have our first significant skirmish occur in the mid game. We're going to play this out with the commentary and then isolate the potential game-losing mistakes from Basic Nerd, which you'll want to avoid making yourself.
oh, hello, sir. That guy's trolling. Ashe? What are you running to? You can go. Oh, that would have been a huge help, but it's okay. It's better not to die here. That's what I would have done, because I like to end. Oh, now you fight. Now you fight for sure. Yep. Oh, they're all dead. Oh my goodness, it's beautiful. Yeah, he's dead. She's dead too. Easy clap. Okay.
Alright, so that was obviously a super good play from Basic Nerd that now puts him in total control to carry this game. However, we do want to point out the moment where mcbaze said that he'd have went in the first time because he likes to int. While he was kind of joking and wasn't bothered by Basic Nerd not going in at this moment, we need to understand why mcbaze would go in and also why he's not too bothered about Basic Nerd missing this golden opportunity. With mcbaze actively playing in Challenger, moments like this do not present themselves frequently. He has Q onto the Elise, and he could E in and land a huge ultimate to crush this team. This is why he'd take this opportunity in a heartbeat, because it has a high chance of working out despite some inherent risk of dying due to limit testing. The reason he's also cool with Basic Nerd missing this chance is because moments like this present themselves very often in low elo. And as we saw right after, another huge ultimate opportunity showed itself, allowing Basic Nerd to score a nice triple kill. But it's game-winning opportunities like the one Basic Nerd missed, which Challenger players always take. Taking these prevents them from losing in low elo even with the worst teams. You should check out some of our guides about limit testing if you haven't already, as they're probably the best guides to use to get better at seizing these opportunities. Anyway, after this fight, a fairly interesting situation occurs. Let's watch and hear what happens and then break it down.
Tell Ashe to go mid. Tell Ashe to go mid. She wants Hurricane. What about the wave in mid? Hello? Set? Oh my. Open. This is my biggest pet peeve in low elo. Oh my god. It's actually both my pet peeves in one situation. When supports farm a lane and when ADCs don't farm mid. It's happening at the same time. Oh my god.
And that's a situation we've all been in as mid laners who want to be in a side lane. Luckily, we have someone who breathes low elo air all day long, so let's pause this game here and quickly take a look at some insights from the games Hector coached. After we hear his thoughts, we'll discuss what Basic Nerd could have potentially done prior to the situation to avoid it entirely.
So even though it's sometimes correct to go mid and then go bottom, you almost always just want to go bot. Not that it was relevant here because of what was happening, but Basically, your teammate is going to see you in mid, and they're not going to realize you're just catching one wave, and then they're going to go bottom, and then your lane assignments are screwed forever. Go get the wave. There's no way you kill her. And this way, Aphelios knows to go middle. It's one of those things I think we talked about earlier. Like, if you chase, Aphelios is going to see the wave, and he's going to be like, ooh, I got to go bottom.
Okay, so we have two different perspectives from both our coaches. mcbaze, who plays in high ELO, more often expects competency from his teammates and tilts when they do something annoying. Hector tragically deals with that all day long as we send him to smurf, so he looks for a solution instead. Basically, Hector's idea is to never give your teammates the chance of getting their lane assignments wrong in the first place. Looking back at everything that happened, what do you think was the correct choice for Basic Nerd to make the second he cleaned up this teamfight? If you answered recall immediately, you'd be correct. Yes, ideally you farm this mid wave before going back to base, but in this case, it wasn't worth it whatsoever. Basic Nerd already had nearly 2,400 gold. When he bases, he buys Nasher's Tooth and Amp Tome, both costing almost exactly how much gold he had. The point here is simple. While clearing mid to funnel more gold onto himself was good, it gave his teammates the opportunity to screw up their lane assignments. Sometimes playing incorrectly is the key to winning in low elo. Having the correct lane assignments as a split pushing champion is pivotal for success. Sometimes giving up a wave or two so that your teammates don't put you into awkward lanes for the next 2 or 3 minutes is the correct move to make. Okay, in this next scenario, we're about to hear mcbaze lose his mind again. But first, tell us, would you try to kill Sivir here or back off, and why?
Like, kill her? What? Don't let her walk up to you. Go, go, chase, chase! Oi. Okay, it's gone. Just chase, because the next minion wave's coming. You know that because your minion wave's here. So then you Q, then E. Yeah, and then E to her. There's no way for her to survive there. She's way too far up.
Okay, so we've already touched upon exploiting the low elo mistakes already in this guide, and this is another classic example of letting players get away with murder. When presented with this scenario in real time, it's easy to think they must be baiting for disrespecting so much, or maybe Basic Nerd just didn't think about using the minion wave as a gap closer, missing a super free kill on the enemy ADC. Our challenger mcbaze, on the other hand, knows this isn't a bait. He's always looking at the minimap. Less than 10 seconds before getting to lane, everybody had clearly revealed themselves on the map. Anyway, soon after, mcbaze guides Diana to finally get that kill on the Sivir. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, Q over the wall. Ult. Good. Good. Kill Soraka. Yeah, she's dead. Kill her. Good.
I was trying to dodge Ori charm there.
Keep running. You're dead, don't flash.
No.
God damn it, Basic Nerd. God damn it.
Alright, a couple of minutes later, we have another macro decision to make. Here at 23 minutes, we see Basic Nerd push a mid lane wave and head towards bottom. Okay, here's the dilemma he's facing. He's already got enough gold for his Liandry's Torment. What do you think he should do? Should he recall to buy Liandry's ASAP, or stay on the map longer to push out bottom and then recall? Let's hear what mcbaze had to say.
Okay, push and go bot. Lee Sin's resetting. You're not looking to fight. Go clear that all the way. It'd actually be better to reset and grab Liandry's, but this is fine.
Sweet, if you got that right, give yourself a pat on the back. Or don't. This was actually a flawed question from the start, and if you realized that, you should know Basic Nerd is looking for a new coach. There's actually some faults with both options that we presented you. Let's break them down. mcbaze's idea to recall first isn't terrible. Whenever you have item spikes, you usually want to recall as soon as possible. This means that you're out on the map with your item spike as quickly as possible. Random solo queue fights are inevitable, therefore you want to be as strong as possible at all times and ready to fight whenever need be. Here's the problem, the enemy bot lane is already dead. Due to Riot's minion power formula, it makes Basic Nerd's minions stronger than the enemy team's minions. If he based when mcbaze wanted him to, then by the time he gets to bottom, the wave would be around here. Basic Nerd would have missed a ton of farm to take a recall at that timing. Both choices have merit and downsides. On one hand, if you immediately recall, you miss farm, but you're on the map faster in case a random solo queue fight occurs. On the other, you get guaranteed farm, but can potentially lose the game if your team takes a random 4v5 while you spend a lot of time pushing and then basing. We've included this to potentially help you when analyzing your own gameplay. Whenever you reach a fork with two mediocre options, then all you have to do is look even further back to see if there was another choice along the way. The hint to this question was literally the beginning of it all, with Basic Nerd pushing mid. Unfortunately for Basic Nerd, there was a fairly long period in this game, right before this decision was made, where mcbaze and Hector were arguing about Leandries over Morellos for over a minute. While he was trying to play the game and score kills, his ears were being blasted.
But Leandries does so much damage.
It's
I could be wrong.
10% more damage. I feel like it's overhyped.
Definitely
Yeah, I
not.
feel
I've been
it.
building it on LeBlanc. It's so good.
Oh, okay, you're griefing giga hard now.
What?
I'll let you get back to the game.
What?
It's fair to say mcbaze was fairly distracted, which led to this moment.
All right, push this.
This is already a fairly difficult decision to spot in the middle of the game on top of being distracted, so we'll give mcbaze a pass on this and blame Hector for distracting him. It's always Hector's fault. Basic Nerd already has the 750 gold he needs for Leandri's Torment. If he were to recall now, he would have accomplished everything he wanted with no downsides. He'd buy his item and go bottom to catch most of the wave. This way he'd be pressuring with his item spike while also not bleeding any side lane farm. Perfect. With our Diana sailing toward her items despite a few needless deaths, she was able to smash this game with 16 kills into an easy win. The enemy comp had no real way of dealing with her, just like mcbaze said at the start of the game. There's plenty of moments we sadly had to miss during the guide since we don't have time for everything, but you should definitely check out the full game on our website so you don't miss moments like this.
Oh yeah, go for her. Yeah. Hello, Soraka. Igniter? Yeah, okay, yeah. Who needs Morellos? Shit item. Q her. Q flash Sivir. Q flash Sivir. Q flash Sivir. Okay, they're trolling. Nice. E to her too. Basic Nerd. Kill this Ari. Q flash E. Q flash. Q flash. Oh my. Leave. Basic Nerd, I'm gonna perma you. I swear to God. I swear to God.
We also have a bunch of full Challenger Earpiece games to watch that you'll find right away on our brand new commentaries page, so now there's even more reason to join skillcapped. Thanks for watching, and be sure to also let us know what you thought of this content type. We worked real hard on this one, so be sure to hit the subscribe button to show your support and to never miss another upload. Catch you next time.